Happy Valentine's Day, and welcome back to B-Movie Euphoria's VHS Roulette. Another one coming at you. I haven't made one in a while. I don't know why I'm doing that. But I felt compelled to because I've been watching a lot of TV, and you get caught up in shows, and you're like, oh, I should. No, you gotta watch movies. Movies are a number one. Movies are they're just long enough to infect your brain with their uh, story and their meaning and their lack of meaning or their lack of acting or story or anything. Anyway, we are back to movies, and thank goodness for it. Hope you all have somebody to hold close today, and if you don't, um, and you're a loser, and you'll probably die alone, just like me. But I found this. It's a cool little Valentine's card. I started reading this Agatha Christie book that I got from the thrift store, and this just fell right out on my chest. So, what do you call that? Fate gave me a Valentine's card. Anyway, so before we get into today's film, let's go through the other bullets in the chamber, the other films that I found, or, they came to me in one way or another. First, we have Night of the Twisters with a very young Devon Sawa from the Final Destination and Idle Hands. This looks very good. TV Twister crap. Very excited for that. We also have, and I was thinking, this would be a good film for the sequels from Hell series that we also do. I've heard a lot of bad things, so I can't wait. Boogeyman 2 is the title. Boogeyman, the first one, pretty good. We also have the sci-fi spectacular alien ripoff Star Crystal, which, wow, what a cover. We have Automatic with Oliver Gruner, who's kind of like a low-rent Jean-Claude Van Damme. And look, this has an opening thing. It's also a promotional copy, so get that little scroll across the screen every once in a while. We also have Bad Girls from Mars by Fred Olen Ray. So it's definitely going to be crap, but it's going to be fun crap. Just look at that cover, my God. Anyway, we also have another TV movie of the week piece of shit, Nightmare at Bitter Creek. I did start watching this. Tom Skerritt he's a drunk in the film, but he's clearly had a few on the set. So, great. Runestone. Ooh. With, this guy. He shows up at the end of Die Hard, and you think, he's been choked to death, but really he's not. The guy from Family Matters blows him away. Great ending. I don't know what to think of this. It looks like some sort of Warlock kind of film. Last not least, I started watching this too. Oh, this one's bad. We got another Mike Norris film. If any of you remember Ripper Man, oh god, that was horrible, and he is even worse in this one. Anyway, let's get to the film. We're wasting time. Today we have Fangoria Presents. So, seal of quality there. From 1998, the Danish vampire film Angel of the Night. You can't see the whole thing. Okay. Angel of the Night. Angel of the Night. Bam, 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 bam. Angel of the Night. Bam. Okay, so that song is not in the movie, but it does sound like a Ronnie James Dio song. Anyway, this film, it was a little surprising, a little hard to follow. a little stupid, but it was fun. I can't say that it wasn't entertaining. Um, okay, so it was clearly made in Denmark by a guy named, oh shit, it was like Shaky, not Shaky Steve, Shaky Gonzalez is the director of this film, and maybe that's his real name. I don't know. All I know is that it's got basically every Danish actor in the film. Mads Mikkelsen. At first, I was watching it. I was like, that guy looks a lot like Mads Mikkelsen. He's in it. He has no lines in the film. He's in it for like a second, and then I don't want to ruin anything for you. Anyway, so the movie starts off with a woman named Rebecca showing up to this huge um, mansion somewhere in Central Europe. That's what it says on the screen. With her two friends, Charlotte and, her boyfriend, Mads. Uh, and so she just inherited this mansion from her grandmother. And immediately they're like, ooh, let's check it out. Let's look at all the kooky things. And she has this big book um, that basically tells kind of the history of the family and creepy things going on. And they get inside the mansion. Rebecca starts reading from this book, and they start finding out that the story of Rebecca's family got a lot of vampires in it. Yeah. And at that point, after when she starts reading the book, and then they end up going into the cellar because it says in the book, the secrets to the family are in the cellar. And so they go into the cellar, of course, because why not? And so she starts reading, and then as she's reading, there's all these flashbacks. Um, so really, it's kind of like an anthology um, film because there are like three little vignettes while she's reading about her past and her family and everything. And the first one is about like 100 years ago. There's this beast, this monster that was terrorizing a village, and the townspeople are all together and they're all yelling, "Kill the murderer! Kill the!" And they don't know who's doing it. They just know that like their children are going missing or dying and everything. And so they kind of elect this preacher named Richard. Um, and the mayor is basically full force gonna go after this beast, and they elect Richard, who's this preacher. He's like, I don't want to go, my family, and they're like, no, no, you gotta go. We need a holy man. So come on, and then one of the fathers of one of the victims also goes. So they go on this quest, not really a quest. They go to this mansion, and they end up finding this thing that's I'm guessing like the first vampire or something, and it's got a huge head. It's got a big like Koopa head and giant teeth, and then these big long like creepy fingers that are just like so wobbly because they're so long and they wobble all over the place, but they're long and it's kind of spooky. Anyway, the mayor and the father of one of the victims get like really quick, and they're gonzo. So basically, the only one left is Richard, and he ends up getting bit. Um, he stabs the creature, he kills it, but he ends up getting bit, and then suddenly he turns into Rico Mortis, the Angel of the Night. So because because he gets bit, basically he becomes a vampire, but he also has to change his name and he changes into a different actor. So that's just the beginning of the nonsense that kind of continues in this movie. From there, we go into more modern times, which is, they say, just a few years ago. And from here, Rebecca stops reading in now, and then the friend Charlotte starts reading to the boyfriend after the boyfriend gets pissed off, doesn't want to be in the cellar. He's like, I'm out of here, and he's all pissed off because Rebecca won't have sex with him or something, and he's like, I might as well, you know. Oh, I forgot. Oh, in the basement, of course, they find a, um, casket, a stone, kind of. They have to move it over, and there's a big dead skeleton of a bat. And so that's what the boyfriend says. He's like, I'm out of here. Might as well fuck this bat. Okay, and then they also find this giant dagger, and the friend Charlotte is like, ooh, I can have fun with this dildo. And then, so you kind of have an idea of, you know, okay, the boyfriend takes off, and then Charlotte goes after him. So what's gonna happen? I don't know. Anyway, so Charlotte starts reading from the book while Rebecca kind of stays in the basement and reads from something else, some other text that she found. And so while Charlotte's reading, she starts telling us this new story. And then we get another flashback of this guy named Tim, who's a criminal, but he's also trying to find the vampire. So he's like a criminal, but a vampire hunter. And he has a gang, and his gang has a bunch of like strippers that hang around them. Anyway, Mads Mikkelsen is one of the gang. You wouldn't recognize him if you didn't like look, because he doesn't. He looks like Eurotrash. There's a lot of Eurotrash in this film, but uh anyway, so these criminals decide they're going to kill Rico Mortis, who is terrorizing the town, and there's a lot of like flashy blade style vampire hunting and killing, and just like lots of like sideways like, and just like shooting guns. Of course, it doesn't do anything because they're fucking vampires. So there's that whole story. Basically, it's a bullshit story because it just ends with Tim the criminal and his buddies kind of going against Rico, and then Rico just ends up fucking killing him. So that's the point. Anyway, so they start reading another story, which is all about this woman who is a descendant of Rico or Peter or whatever the fuck, and she ends up getting basically forced into having sex with Rico one night. She doesn't remember it, but now she's bearing the child, or his reincarnation, basically. I'm telling you, there's a shitload going on in this movie, and you have to keep up. You're like, oh, wait, what the fuck happened to Tim? Oh yeah, he's dead. Okay, who are we with now? Oh, okay, Marie. She's pregnant with. Okay, great. So she knows. She starts having flashbacks about like the rendezvous with the vampire boy, and she's like, oh, I can't keep this. Oh, it's. And she tells her boyfriend, and her boyfriend is basically. She tells her boyfriend right when he proposes to her at this restaurant, but it's a very, very weird proposal. Maybe this is how they do it in Denmark. He orders a beer and a shot, and while he's like downing the shot, he just kind of slides over the ring without even looking at her, and she like picks it up and she's like, I have to tell you, I can't keep this baby, because he thinks it's his. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I feel an evil growing inside me. And him being just a stand-up guy is just like, you're fucking crazy. You need to be locked up. And she gets upset and leaves. And anyway, so then there's all the way in Peru, we flash to Peru because if you aren't confused enough, there you go. there's a priest in Peru that suddenly gets visions of Marie and her, child of vampirism, and he decides he needs to head to Central Europe and go and help Marie. But here's the thing, when he shows up, after, everyone, she goes to the doctor and she's like, I want to get an abortion, and she's like, it's too late. And then you find out later her doctor is working with Rico. And, but when he finally shows up, after, she's been kind of told she's crazy or told that, everything's fine, even though she knows in her heart that something is bad with her baby, he comes to her, this priest, Garcia, comes to her, he's like, I know what's happening. I want to help you, rid yourself of this evil. She's like, get away from me, you're crazy. I'm like, what the fuck? You're telling everybody that you feel there's an evil inside you and you want to get rid of it, and suddenly someone actually who believes you and comes to you is like, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm here to, do it. And she's like, no, you're crazy. Get away from me. Go away. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Anyway, so she ends up having, like, visions, and, of course, there's a lot of, like, visions and stuff. She ends up, the priest, she lets the priest help her eventually after some other bullshit. The gang from the previous flashback is now the Rico's minions. So they're going after her, trying to get her to, not kill the baby or whatever. At one point, there's a confrontation with her boyfriend, her asshole boyfriend, Father Gonzalez Rodriguez. I don't know, Gonzalez. Yeah, and then there's a lot of like fancy blade shootouts there. Her boyfriend calls Father Gonzalez. He calls him Banderas. He's like, "Let's go, Banderas." And then they kind of have a cool fight thing, but then both of them get killed. So again, it's like, just build up these characters and then they're dead. And then, so that's over with. Oh, okay. So she ends up being taken, of course, because forget all those other characters. She ends up being taken back to this mansion, and she wakes up, and then we flash back to now the boyfriend is reading from the book, and he's talking about how she wakes up and she's in a place she doesn't know, and she has holy water on her. And then the female friend, Charlotte, is like, wait a minute, how does she have... She's like the audience, literally. She's like, how does she have holy water? When did she get holy water? And then the boyfriend goes, oh, there's just some pages missing. The priest probably gave it to her. So the movie, at least, there's a big old plot hole, because how the fuck did she get holy water? Whatever. But the movie is just basically like, yeah, those pages are gone. That part of the movie, forget it. Don't even think about it. Anyway, so she ends up drinking some holy water, confronts Rico. Rico's like, you're carrying my child. And he turns back into, every once in a while, he'll turn back into Richard and be all handsome and, suave again. And she ends up spitting holy water in his face and then drinking the holy water. And then she starts peeing blood, or, miscarriaging. And that's how you say it. And then he turns into rat bones. And he turns into rat bones. And now, back to modern times. They're all in the thing. Rebecca, who, now owns this mansion, she gets surrounded by CGI gas. And she starts hearing Rico's voice saying, recite the ancient ritual and put your blood in the thing and raise me. And, of course, she does it. Rico comes back as a giant, like, pretty cool practical bat that looks kind of like this, starts attacking everybody, and that is where I'm gonna draw the line because I don't want to ruin the film. I think I've gone over it pretty well. There's a lot of goofiness, a lot of shit that doesn't make sense and is just not explained at all. And the movie kind of asks you to, like, just stick with me. Come on. You just gotta stick with it. It's gonna get better. And it kind of does. And there are some really good scenes in it. It's just terrible dubbing. Uh, some fairly good acting. There are babs in this film. So if that's what you need in a movie, and you kind of needed it in this film, uh, there are those. Overall, it is it's a pretty good movie, and you can kind of tell why Fangoria picked it up. It was probably edited a little bit for American audiences. There might be a unedited version out there. This is probably on YouTube. Uh, yeah, it's pretty entertaining. It's not bad. It's better than Twilight anyway. So here you go. There's no real love story in this, so if you're looking for a Valentine's Day film, no. But I would say check it out because I enjoyed it and I thought it was fun. Thank you again for watching B Movie Euphoria's VHS Roulette, and I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Happy Valentine's Day.